to you in high definition on CBS. Monster Energy AMA Supercross and FIM World Championship is north of the border, the Rogers Centre in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Hi everybody, Ralph Shaheen alongside former Supercross Series champion Jeff Emig and Aaron Bates joining us as well, covering all the action down on the floor of the Rogers Centre for us here today. Our one trip into Canada this year, the 2009 championship season, which began back in Anaheim where Josh Grant took a surprising win. That was followed up by James Stewart, who won 7 races in a row. Finally, the reigning champ, Chad Reed, took 2 wins back-to-back in Indy and Daytona. Since then, Stewart and Reed have swapped the points lead and race victories. Taking a look at the championship, Jeff, one of the tightest we've seen in years.
Oh, it's incredible. The intensity is there, and for James Stewart, it's pretty much a must-win all the way through to the end of the season. For Chad Reed, his magic number's 1. If he wins one more race, it's going to put him in a very comfortable position to win the championship.
You can see how tight that battle is. Andrew Short sits 3rd in the Monster Energy Championship. There is the board calling for heat number 1. Chad Reed is the reigning champ. That's why he has the red-backed number plate with the big number 1 on it. As you take a look at our Air Force starting grid scrolling across the top of your screen, Josh Grant is in this heat as well. Kevin Windham and Ivan Tedesco all lined up here in heat number 1. 9 riders will transfer out of this to the main event.
Well, there's no doubt this is a stacked heat, Ralph, and what's going to be even more difficult is the soil that they're racing on and the track design. It's very soft. Every rider out there is going to make a mistake somewhere along the line. It's minimizing the huge mistakes. The track, extremely difficult and challenging here tonight.
Great hole shot by the Suzuki Mountain rider. That was Michael Lessie, but he's not able to hold on to the lead as Ivan Tedesco on that number 9 Red Bull Honda, the factory rider, takes over the lead.
And Ben Coisy is battling also. The 979, Alessi was absolutely flying into the first turn, overshot it just a little bit and left the door open for Ivan Tedesco.
Now Chad Reed, we talked about him in the points championship. He sits 4th. That would be a transfer spot. There you see him swinging way to the outside on that Rockstar Makita Suzuki.
Just making his way around the San Manuel Yamaha. Kyle Chisholm, James Stewart's teammate.
Now remember, you need to be inside the top 9 to transfer straight to the main. That's priority number 1 for Reed and the rest of the pack. Those will be the names you see scrolling across the top of the screen in green. And Reed on that yellow Suzuki trying to see if he can get to the front of the field.
Well, and the further to the front that you get, the better gate pick that you have for the main event. Fastest qualifier of the fastest heat, or the first place to qualify the fastest heat lines up first tonight. For our championship contenders here as Reed takes the position for Coisy.
That'll give him 3rd place.
Yeah, there's no doubt that gate pick is going to be important.
Now he's closing in on his teammate Michael Lessie in front of him. That'll be the fight for 2nd now as Reed tries to reel him in.
And here comes one of the veterans. That's Kevin Windham sneaking up just behind Reed here. You see Reed trying to stretch it out through the rhythm section, throwing a triple in there.
Across the big finish line jump, Tedesco, Alessi, Reed, Windham, Coisy, the top 5. And Reed, no stranger to winning heat races. He's got 6 of them already this season. He goes for the tear-off, Jeff. Rips that off, clears the vision, just lets the piece of plastic go.
Well, you're going to need plenty of Scott tear-offs here tonight, Chad Reed, because he's moving past traffic, and I'm telling you, as he does that, all this soil here is flying up, and it's, like I said, there's a loose, type of soil on top. It's sticky in other sections, but you see right here as he's following his teammate Michael Lessie.
Here he comes to the inside, and Reed makes the move, and the reigning champ now runs in 2nd.
Well, don't you just get the feeling that Chad Reed is on a mission? He's been very lighthearted. He's been very relaxed in what is a very intense intense championship battle. But I'm telling you, Chad Reed has came here to do business. He knows that if he wins this main event here tonight, that he will be in a great position to take the championship.
The fight now is for third, and Alessi takes a look to his right as Kevin Wyndham closes in. Bar to bar over the jumps. Wyndham on the Honda tries to make the move, cuts back to the inside. Can he get it done? Yes, in mid-flight. Kevin Wyndham takes the pass on Mike Alessi and moves himself and his Honda up to third. We'll take a quick break here from Toronto. CBS Sports will be right back for more Monster Energy Supercross after this. Welcome back to Toronto, where the battle for the lead is heating up. Ivan Tedesco on the red, number 9, the Honda, just in front of Chad Reed on that yellow Suzuki. Here's Reed trying to get to the, and a bobble by Tedesco, and Reed takes the lead away.
Tedesco just hands the lead over to Chad Reed, who was just really putting the pressure on.
Let's go back, Jeff, and take a look at how Chad Reed got around Tedesco.
Okay, well, pretty clear here. Watch Tedesco goes in and then gets his weight just to the right side of the bike. He needed to be leaned over a little bit to the left and misses that double coming out of the turn.
Chad Reed out front going for heat race win number 7 this season. Chad Reed, what an incredible year he has had. The points leader, Jeff, has never finished off of the podium. His worst finish of the year, a third at Anaheim 1.
Not bad if your worst finish is a third. And that really is one of Chad Reed's strengths throughout his whole Supercross career, is that he is consistently, I mean, every time he is on the podium, he is in it to win it. That's what he always says. And he's put himself in a great position this year with only 3 wins compared to Stewart's 8 wins. But he's on the podium every week. No big mistakes.
Remember, the top 9 transfer straight to the main. Those are the names you see in green across the top of the screen. And our Air Force running order at the top there. This is the final lap. The difference in this championship is those podium finishes for Reed, because Stewart has a 19th at Anaheim 1 and a 7th at Daytona. That's the difference in the points.
It definitely is. And Chad Reed, so mentally tough. I mean, 5 races to go in this championship. He's out there just, I mean, he's a 2-time champion. This is what they do. They know how to get the job done. But here tonight in Toronto, he has been exceptional in this heat race and proven that he can win the main event.
And he hasn't made any mistakes, and he forced the mistake on the man as he was chasing for the lead. And Chad Reed gets his 7th heat race win of the year and sets himself up for a main event. That young guy right there just saw Chad Reed win heat number 1. Here's a look at the Honda results. And Reed did rock in heat number 1. All the way down to Kyle Chisholm. Those top 9 will go straight to the main. Nick Wade, however, will take the rest of the field on to the last chance qualifier and a shot at those final 2 transfer spots. We, however, go to the podium with Aaron Bates.
Chad Reed is a 2-time winner here in Toronto. And Chad, every year this track changes drastically, but tonight it's changing lap by lap. Is it going to come down to who makes the most minimal amount of mistakes?
Yeah, I definitely think so. You know, you're going to have to be real patient, get a good start, and push consistently out front, you know. And once I got out front, I found it easy. You know, you can see the lines and Doug's a roost, and you can see a lot of people out there running handguards tonight. So I'm acting like a tough guy, but I don't know if that's a good idea.
Chad Reed, he's so cool, he's so calm, and he's not about to crack under pressure.
There you see James Stewart on the number 7. And Jeff, we just heard Chad Reed talking about handguards. Some of those guys are running them, some of them aren't. Looks like James Stewart is not.
Yeah, James Stewart's not running handguards. To the right of him is Millsaps. To the left of him is Josh Hill. You know, when you take those rocks in your hands, your knuckles, we've heard a lot of riders actually get their knuckles bruised here already. And you can see right here, these are the handguards Ralph and I were talking about.
The Thor starting lineup scrolling across the top of the screen. Stewart tries to get a great start. He tucks to the inside. It looks like Davey Millsaps, another factory Honda rider, going to get the whole shot. Oh, nice for Honda riders out of the gate, Jeff.
No doubt about it. That was Jason Lawrence on the white and black Yamaha who was up there. He made a little mistake in turn 2, and he's shuffled all the way back to nearly last.
Stewart runs in second, right behind Davey Millsaps.
Well, Millsaps he is always exceptional on these type of tracks. So, you know, Millsaps has had some flashes of brilliance this year. This could be one of those nights for him.
Millsaps has 2 heat wins. James Stewart, 11.
A little bit of difference there, and then I have to think that James Stewart's going to try to show us exactly why that is. He is so fast and so explosive, but I'm telling you, for James Stewart, he has to somehow harness some of that energy that he has and limit the mistakes, because last week in St. Louis, we saw James Stewart out front on the first lap, only to crash 2 times and qualify 9th.
9 riders once again will come out of heat number 2 here to the main. And Stewart really making a push on Millsaps now.
Watch him square him up to the inside.
Here he comes, bar to bar through that section. And James Stewart takes the lead. And James plays his cards just so close to his chest. I talked to him earlier. Oh, look at Millsaps. He tried to make a run back to the inside through that whoop section.
Boy, did he ever, and you can just see that Millsaps had a little line up the inside, and if Stewart had gave him any room, he was going to run it in there. Millsaps really on it here.
But I asked James earlier today in the pit area, I said, James, how's everything going? What do we need to know? He goes, I shot a 73 this week. Talked about his golf score. Doesn't want to let anybody inside, really, to how things are going. He gave me that big $1 million James Stewart smile and focuses, keeps everything internal. Doesn't really want to let too many people know about the business of the day.
Hey, a 73 is a good week to me, I'm telling you. And right now, Stewart starting off here in Toronto. Let's take a look at this pass for the lead as Stewart just gets on the binders, then just explodes up the inside of these whoops here. Takes the line from Davey Millsaps.
When we talked about Jason Lawrence having his issues, watch the 338 here.
Lawrence he's one of them riders that he is not afraid to just really force the issue, and that was Skinner that got the short end of the stick as Lawrence moved 1 step closer to a qualifying position.
Lawrence is up to 7th now. Sean Skinner, who was involved with that, dropped to 13th. James Stewart leads here in heat number 2 in Toronto. We'll be right back for more after this here on CBS. Welcome back to Monster Energy AMA Supercross and FIM World Championship for the Rogers Center in Toronto. Used to be known as Sky Dome, home of Major League Baseball's Toronto Blue Jays. And right now, James Stewart, who won the main event here in 2005 when he rode for Kawasaki, trying to get his 12th heat race win of the year, this time on a Yamaha.
Well, and on his way here to this heat race win, if he keeps it on 2 wheels, James Stewart's best time of 50.5. Chad Reed in heat 1, a 50.7. Okay, so very closely matched for our title contenders. Both riders riding exceptional here tonight on a very challenging track.
And Jeff, that will be important as to who gets gate test.
No doubt about it. The overall fastest heat. Now, Stewart's been out front here the longest with the fastest lap times. We'll see if this heat race ends up being the faster of the 2. We'll give you first pick on the gate. And then, of course, the second fastest heat would be winner would be second pick on the gate and on down the line.
Well, James Stewart has a pretty easy run out front now that he's taken over the lead. The battle for 4th is another good one, and this also involves Yamaha-mounted riders. Brock Hepler on the number 60 and Josh Hill on the number 75.
Both riders have had some pretty successful main events this season. Not the consistency that they would like, but there's no doubt about it. The Yamaha boys here are getting it together and are riding superb here once again on a track that is deteriorating quickly. This is
Hill does have a heat race win, Jeff, which Hepler does not, but Hepler has a better finish in the points with a 3rd, his first career podium finish.
Boy, look at Josh. Yeah, look at Josh Hill now. He's going to square up his teammate.
And that's going to make the difference. He'll take the position away. So that'll move Hill up to 3rd, or 4th, I should say. Hill, of course, the winner in Minneapolis just a year ago.
Yeah, and he's trying to chase down Honda Mounted Andrew Short right now, who's actually in third. Short also running third in the points. He's been exceptionally consistent this season. Hasn't had the win that he was hoping for coming into this season.
Oh, but he did have a second at Anaheim 1. James Stewart, our race leader, on the final lap. Last lap, Jeff, a 52.3 for James.
Well, and what's interesting here is that, James getting a chance to see how the track is when it's completely rutted. He's going to have to remember that and use that to his advantage in the main event.
So James Stewart takes his 12th heat race win of the year as he picks up another one here in Toronto. These fans here all excited inside the Rogers Center as James Stewart takes the checkered flag here in heat number 2, as you can see on our Toyota results page. Nathan Ramsey also gets a transfer spot straight into the main. Jacob Marsack goes to the LCQ. And we go down to meet James, who's with Aaron Bates.
Well, James Stewart ended up taking a soil sample earlier in practice this afternoon. And James, you ended up pulling off the track quite a few times into the mechanics area, getting your bike modified. Did you get everything dialed in? You're now 0.2 of a second faster than Chad Reed's time.
Well, I just got kind of cross-rutted over here and fell over. And, it wasn't nothing bad. Basically fell over. Track was just changing so much. It was really kind of hard, nonsense to even try to go really hard in practice. But I feel good. We're trying to get that Samuel Yamaha back on the box tonight, and track's going to be tricky, so we'll see what happens.
The pressure is on. Congratulations on your 12th heat race win of the season.
On the road again, going places that I've never been, seeing things that I may never see again. I can't wait to get on the road again.
Oh, this tour definitely spends a lot of time on the road as we crisscross back and forth across the country. 17 races in 18 weeks. Jacksonville, Florida is up next. Then we'll be back on CBS from Seattle and Salt Lake City. Don't forget, CBS will have our Supercross season review on May 3rd. And if you want to come see the races in person, go to supercrossonline.com, get your tickets, and come on out to the races. Well, before the racing got started here tonight in the Rogers Center, these fans were treated to one of the best opening ceremonies you'll see anywhere in racing.
Get on your feet, 'cause I'm plugged in. So come on, let's do this. I'll turn it on, I'll bring it up. I'll show you all what I made up. I'll get loud, I'll tear it down. I'll bring the roof and this house down. I know.
Beautiful shot of downtown Toronto, and right below the massive CN Tower is where the Rogers Center sits. And that's where Monster Energy AMA Supercross and FIM World Championship is taking place here in Toronto. Let's show you the highlights from the last chance qualifier. What a battle it was, Jeff, as Jacob Marsack takes the lead away from Heath Voss. And then watch this. Here comes Nick Way to the inside, all in white, to take second, but these two would battle some more.
And this was the final lap, total battle royale here, as these riders were coming through the rhythm sections, just absolutely going for it. One turn to go. Nick Way takes the spot, drag race to the finish.
And Nick Way takes that final transfer spot by just a couple hundredths of a second over Heath Voss. So Marsack and Way go on to the main event as you take a look at our Yamaha last chance qualifier results. Hi everybody, Ralph Shaheen alongside former Supercross Series champion Jeff Emig. We've had a great night of racing so far and a tremendous points battle going on between Chad Reed, James Stewart. They both are going to the main event. Jeff, how's it shaping up?
Well, it's shaping up just like we expect from two of our sport's greatest champions. They know how to win races. They know what's on the line here tonight. For James Stewart, it's a must-win all the way through. For Chad Reed, he can win a main event, puts himself in that good position like we talked about with the points. But I'm telling you tonight, track's going to be very challenging. You have to eliminate the mistakes. Which rider will be mentally strong and can make it through the 20 laps with the least amount of mistakes? Well, that's what we're here for.
And of course, they're going to have to deal with this very tricky racetrack here tonight. And for more on the track conditions, here's Aaron Bates with the Monster Energy Track Board.
The trek north across the border always brings some unpredictable track conditions. If you recall last year, the track was extremely spongy. Well, what they've done this year, they've used brand new dirt to To alleviate the problem of it being so wet, they brought in 8 truckloads of sand, and they've also put in 3 times the amount of drying agent than they've ever used at a Supercross before. The problem being is now it's so dry and so soft that it's starting to deteriorate right after practice number 1. So a lot of the rocks have sifted to the top and is creating a lot of problems. One of those riders that received one of those rocks to the hand, he did make qualified into the main event. That's Jason Lawrence, but he will not be racing. He received a rock to his right knuckle. It's so swollen, he's not able to hold on to the bars. This is going to be one of the challenges all of these riders are going to have to face in tonight's main event.
A tough break for Jason Lawrence. He was very, very fast throughout the day. It's been great racing so far here in the Rogers Center in Toronto. Welcome back to the Rogers Center in Toronto. It's main event time. Ralph Sheheen, Jeff Emig, and Aaron Bates with you. And those are the 2 title combatants. Chad Reed on the 1, James Stewart on the 7. And there's a handful of points up for grabs here again tonight. And as you can see, they're both on their game. Reed and Stewart, both heat race winners. Now the reason why, Jeff, as you look at our MMI race reset, why there's only 19 riders instead of 20, Jason Lawrence taking that rock to the hand. He's not going to make the call, even though he qualified.
Yeah, he was having trouble in that heat race, even pulling in the clutch, and just did not feel that he was going to make 20 laps.
This track is not the design that's so difficult here tonight, designed by the great Jeff Stanton, but the dirt is a challenge.
Well, it definitely is, and on our track map here, everything looks sharp, everything looks steep, but I'm telling you, the track has deteriorated. It's going to be challenging because of the ruts. It's going to change throughout the 20 laps, and whoever makes the least amount of mistakes and is riding that fast pace is going to be able to win the main event. Remember the gap between Chad Reed, the reigning champ, and James Stewart, the 2007 champ, is 11 points coming in to tonight's event. It's, well, the math on it is crazy. It's so close, the intensity is high. This is a must-win for James Stewart.
30 seconds.
On the other hand, he needs a win. So it all converges here in Toronto.
The 30-second board is up. There's Josh Hill. He's ready to go. The Minneapolis winner a year ago. Reed and Stewart right next to each other. The 29 Andrew Short, the 18 of Davey Millsaps on the 2 factory Hondas. But it's a Yamaha on the Suzuki, ready to go as we drop the gate in Toronto. And it's going to be Michael Lessie getting the whole shot. Stewart sits in second. Reed is buried back in about 5th.
Reed's in 4th, he comes through 5th, yeah. Michael Lessie grabbing the whole shot, a Suzuki rider out front.
Reed now quickly picking up 2 spots as he gets around Andrew Short. That'll put him into 3rd. And here goes Stewart for the lead. James Stewart gets around Alessi, and Reed comes after his teammate next. Alessi with a quick look over his shoulder, and Reed makes very quick work of him as Alessi goes wide and opens the door for his teammate.
So here we go, our 2 championship points leaders, 1 and 2 on the first lap. Who has the all-out speed? Who will make the least amount of mistakes? Who wants this championship more?
Ivan Tedesco just jumping his way through the rhythm section on the factory Honda, finds himself in 3rd, right behind Reed. You see the gap, and look at Reed fighting to keep control of the Rockstar Makita Suzuki.
These riders so closely matched in lap times. Both riders incredibly fit. Wow, that was amazing!
Reed with a huge mistake, but he saves it.
What he just did, Ralph, was something no rider has done yet tonight. He almost made a mistake, but he's letting it all hang out.
Oh, man, Jeff, again, another bobble.
That's confidence. Chad Reed is absolutely going for it right now. He knows that if he can win tonight, mathematically, it would put him in a great position to win the championship. He does not want to let Stewart get any confidence and get on a string of wins.
Boy, Jeff, he's really struggling a little bit there. Reed, 2.9 seconds behind Stewart.
Stewart was a second, 1 second a lap faster than Reed that time, and Reed made that big mistake. Now watch, this is the section here. This is the replay where he triples on, but he goes too far and hits gets into that single at the end of the... Let's take a look at this. See, watch the front wheel just makes it too far. I don't think he was counting on jumping that far.
What an incredible save, an incredible save of points, more importantly. You can see Stewart opening up a huge gap between the two. Stewart trying to lengthen out his lead at this stage. If Stewart can hold on and take the win here, that will tighten the points gap up if Reed can hold on for second to 8, moving on to Jacksonville. Here's the battle for third. It's behind Reed, a pair of the factory Hondas, the 29 of Andrew Short, the 9 of Tedesco, who makes a bobble of his own.
Well, here's Short. We have our championship points leaders 1 and 2. Short third in points, putting in a strong right here. Oh, he makes a mistake. That's going to allow Tedesco. Triples onto the tabletop. He closes right up on his teammate.
And coming in behind him is the Anaheim 1 winner on that Joe Gibbs Racing Yamaha, the Toyota sponsor number 33 of Josh Grant. And Brock Hepler behind him on the number 60 Yamaha as well. There's Grant.
Look at Grant. Oh, Grant he hopped through the whoop section. Just incredible. Here it is to the inside.
He goes right after Tedesco. And Grant picks up the position. Josh Grant moves himself to fourth. Josh Grant pulled that huge victory in his rookie debut at Anaheim 1. Grant takes the first win of his career in his opening Supercross race. What a way to kick off a career.
I tell you, this track already here, just a few laps in, and this track is deteriorated. It's going to be really tough to jump these triple jumps. Here's Grant to the inside.
Trying to battle with Andrew Short now. This is a battle for third.
Look how deep those ruts are, Ralph. And they still manage to apply the horsepower and jump that rhythm section the fastest way. We get past lap 10. If you can still jump that section, you are going to be rocking.
And Jeff, I got to believe lap traffic will become an issue here as well as this race moves on. We've also heard mechanics talking about tires possibly being an issue as this main event goes on because of the sharp rocks that are poking up. In fact, Ivan Tedesco had a flat tire during practice. And here comes Grant to the outside, almost bar to bar with Short. Through that rhythm. Oh, boy, look at Grant fighting to keep control of his Yamaha.
Just cross-threaded the front wheel, but look, he gathers himself back up. Still, there it is.
He almost made contact coming out of the corner. And it's the blue Yamaha moving to the front with Josh Grant on board. And look at how they have to fight through those ruts, Jeff, coming out of the corner.
Well, look who's not giving up at all. Here's the number 9 of Ivan Tedesco.
Tedesco back to the back section of the number 29 of his stablemate, Andrew Short. Tedesco has a pair of fourth-place finishes already this year at Anaheim 3 and at Phoenix. Looking to see if he can get on the podium maybe for the first time this year.
Look at the battle, Ralph. This is for the podium. There goes Tedesco. He's on the outside, though. He's going to have to carry some momentum and make it stick somewhere.
There it is. That'll put him into fourth. Tedesco, one spot away from a podium finish, his first of the year, if he can pull it off. And Brock Hepler coming along as well into this mix.
There he goes. Hepler exiting the turn.
Hepler coming alongside his Short. And he fights through that rhythm section, can't keep control. And Josh Hill now on the 75 Yamaha. He wants in on this battle. He comes to the inside of Hepler. Look at how he sits to the back of that motorcycle, getting all the weight he can on that rear wheel, trying to help the drive out of the corner.
Here's Hill around the outside.
He's got Hepler, and he gets Short.
He excels on the track like this. Josh Hill just really moving right now. He's looking at moving past some of the top Supercross riders in the world.
That'll put Josh Hill into fifth, and he is right now in his best finishing position of the year.
Hill just flying right now, and this is one of those tracks where You don't have to be perfect. It's impossible to be perfect. Hill just has a rhythm that's really hard to find here, and he is just holding the throttle on, going with the flow, carrying tons of momentum. He had an excellent lap time last time around, a 53.
Brock Kepler, you saw him on the number 60. He runs in 7th right now. And Andrew Short, struggling a little bit tonight. Got 3rd in the points, but Short has slipped back to 6th. Seeing his opportunity to finish on the podium slipping out of his grasp.
You see Short here, he seems to be shaking right now. He's dropped a couple positions. He was up into the 3rd, but...
Meanwhile, James Stewart out front, just under a 4-second lead over Chad Reed, trying to regain some points in this tremendous battle for the Monster Energy AMA Supercross FIM Championship. We'll be right back to Toronto, Ontario, Canada for more of the main event. Stewart continuing the lead here in Toronto. Chad Reed, 4.5 seconds behind now in 2nd place. Doing everything he can to catch him, but Jeff, not everything has been perfect for the former winner here in Toronto, James Stewart.
Watch this replay here. Stewart gets off the side, catches the tough lock, and the left foot peg catches the tough lock cover, manages to keep it on 2 wheels. And this is that type of night where you're going to have those situations, but it has not affected James Stewart one bit, as he's now 4.7 seconds ahead of Reed and was a couple tenths of a second faster that last lap around.
Stewart trying to get his 9th win of the season here tonight.
And I cannot stress how easy these guys are making this look, because riding this track at this level, at this pace that Stewart is throwing down right now, there's so much work that goes into that.
Aaron, it's been an impressive night so far for James Stewart.
That's for sure. Well, guys, we can't comment on it enough how much this track has deteriorated throughout the day. All of those rocks are finally sifted to the very top, and as they come by the mechanics area, the mechanics are getting absolutely blasted and pelted with all these pebbles. Some of them are even wearing sets of goggles down here, but you're going to notice some of the riders are wearing hand guards and also chest protectors. For the ones that aren't this evening, they're going to look like they've gone through a war zone by the time this main event is through.
Jeff, what does that feel like when you get hit with those rocks?
Yeah, a shotgun blast pretty much, you know. And I'm telling you, Stewart, though, he's not running any hand guards. You can see up there in his gloves. And that's a rider that said, I'm not going to have to worry about these hand guards. I'm going to be out front. But the problem is they are getting into the lapped riders very quickly right now. And as he moves past the lapped riders, that's Nathan Ramsey on the Toyota Yamaha that he just moves past. Nathan sitting in 14th. So now Stewart all the way up inside of the top 14. And he really has put on a great ride here. And that's his teammate. He's trying to make his way around. You see Chisholm having all kinds of problems. But Stewart just keeps the throttle on, just picks his way through. There's nobody that makes moves on the bike like James does. He is so quick on the bike, and he anticipates things. It's pretty cool watching him ride, I'm telling you. And this is a tough track, and he's doing what he has to do to keep this championship in play. Stewart has to win out, you know, mathematically to guarantee the championship.
Talked with James's father, Big James, earlier today about the pressure that is on his son, and I asked him how James was taught to deal with pressure. He said, you know, you really can't teach them. He said, but in the very beginning of his career, James wouldn't get good starts, and he would fall way back, and so he learned how to deal coming through the pack quickly.
Yeah, well, here's some pressure on Chad Reed as he's been really trying hard to catch our leader. That's him through the finish line area there, and just, I'm telling you, he's not giving up. He's 7.5 seconds behind, but right now, James Stewart really has got that. Well, that's Hepler that's down as Reed laps him, but Reed has been really giving it his all, but Stewart has been cleaner in that position in the beginning part of the race. Reed and Stewart were trading off fast laps. One rider would be half a second faster. The next time around, it would be the other rider. But being in second, Chad just really was putting it on, but just too many mistakes here. It's dropped him back about 7 seconds. Now you can see he's really toned it down. He says, okay, second could be good enough here tonight.
Well, it's going to save him some points because he will be, if he can finish second to Stewart tonight, he will be just 8 points in front of Stewart with 4 races remaining. Jacksonville, Seattle, Salt Lake City, and Las Vegas. And it looks like no matter what, Jeff, this championship fight will go to the very end at Sanford Stadium.
There's no doubt about it. This is Josh Hill we're taking a look at, who has been on the gas tonight. He has really passed everybody except Stewart Reed to get up into a podium position. Getting back to those points, you get 25 for first, 22 for second. So it's basically a 3-point difference between first and second. This for our championship leaders, that's what it's all about, is getting those 3 points.
This would be Hill's first podium finish of the year and the first time he's even been in the top 5 this season, if he can hang on. Battle for 6 is a good one. Davey Millsaps, Kevin Windham, a couple of Honda riders, and Windham on the 14 with a great move to the inside of the number 18 of Davey Millsaps. The Geico Power Sports back entry of Kevin Windham just in front of that Red Bull factory bike of Millsaps, and boy is Davey fighting it.
Well, Davey likes riding on that loose edge there, and tonight you get a real taste of it. Look, there's even deep ruts going into the turn, not just the acceleration section of the turn, but actually going in. And you can see how it's really tough to jump up on that, to triple onto that little tabletop. You see how they're just creeping through here and then trying to get a run to the triple, really having to set up just to complete that section. Wow, Windham is on the gas. He really has came out of nowhere to put himself up into 6th position.
Such a smooth rider, Kevin Windham.
Windham was 15th on the first lap. Millsap was 16th, so these riders have came through the pack, 10 positions. This is a tough night to do that on.
Just having to pick his way through. Back to the front, and James Stewart. Jeff, so much pressure on James to win this championship. James is one of those riders, one of those athletes who second in the championship, which a lot of people consider to be great, is not at all acceptable in his mind.
No, it's all about winning the championship, and for James, he really has to take it week for week here. And step 1 here with 5 races to go, 11 points down, was not to think about Las Vegas, it's to think about and maximize the points here. That's by winning, okay? Stewart has put on phenomenal rides so far. You can see him really being able to take it easy. You don't want to back it down too much here because you don't want to lose your focus and make a mistake, okay? 1 step at a time for James Stewart. He has to win here, then Jacksonville, and so on and so on. Right now, he has done what has asked of him.
His mechanic, Oscar, cheering him on. It sure looks like Stewart being very smart about how he's approaching these last couple of laps, not giving himself a chance to make a mistake.
Well, yeah, he's going to back it down into a comfortable zone, but this is a nice position to be in on a difficult track like this. The last thing you want to do is have to ride the final lap bar to bar for the win, Right now, he can really pick his way through. See him just coasting through some of these turns, and that's because he's got a 10-second lead over Chad Reed. He's going to pick up 3 points here tonight if he can make it through the checkered flag.
And this is the last controlled environment, if you will, of the season, the last dome stadium.
Yeah, we go
to Jacksonville next week. We could see rain there potentially. Certainly in Seattle, it's a question. In Salt Lake City, we could even see some snow, which has been seen there in the past for Supercross.
Well, and then when you come down to it with 1 lap to go here, you come down to it. Vegas is a very difficult track in a totally different way because it's hard pack, blue groove. That's a tough track to race for the championship on. I've lived it. It really is a nightmare. So either one of these riders, they want to have a little cushion going into the last race, but I'm telling you, it's not going to happen. This championship between 2 of our sport's greatest champions of all time, 3rd and 4th winningest racers, I mean, we expect nothing but a battle right to the final checkered flag.
James Stewart on that San Manuel Yamaha, working his way around on the final lap. Doing everything he can to tighten up this tremendous points chase that we've seen all year long on the Monster Energy AMA Supercross Championship Trail. Stewart really just almost walking his way through, Jeff.
And this one's going to feel good here. This is...
And here he comes to the final corner. James Stewart has done it. He's taken another checkered flag as he lights the candles here in the Rogers Center, and he tightens the championship up. We'll be right back to meet the winner. Back inside the Rogers Center here in Toronto, where James Stewart has picked up his 9th victory of the year. You take a look at our Monster Energy results page. Chad Reed, however, gets his 99th podium of his career, the 44th of which was a second place finish.
Pretty impressive.
And let's head down to Aaron.
The pressure was on in a big way for James Stewart, and he did exactly what he needed to do. James, your team manager, Larry Brooks, had just said to me, whew, that was a nerve-wracking one. How was this night for you?
It was tough because the track was so rutted and stuff, and I just got to give it up to Samuel Yamaha. Those guys have been working hard, and unfortunately, we've been having some bad luck, last week or so, but, I just want to thank them, Red Bull, Nike, Answer, Bell Helmets, Alpine Star Boots, Bridgestone Tires, everybody. I'm really stoked to be a part of the team, and it just feels good to get a win again.
Congratulations on another victory. Great job.
Here's our Toyota replay of the race, Jeff, and it's all about that pass for the lead. James Stewart made quick work of it.
It definitely is here. He just jumps past Michael Alessi and then doesn't look back. And when the pressure was on from Chad Reed, Stewart just totally wheelied away.
Well, this championship, as we said, is going to go all the way down to Sam Boyd Stadium in Las Vegas, Nevada, the first weekend in May. And it's going to be a great one. And the point standings, they've tightened up. 8 points now, the difference between Stewart and Chad Reed, Aaron.
That's right, 8-point lead and only 4 races left to go. Chad, tonight was a difficult one, but how do you approach these final 4 races?
Just try to get good starts and ride good and consistent. And felt like I rode decent tonight. Just struggled, man. I made too many mistakes and too many really big mistakes. So I'm happy with second. James was riding awesome. We checked out, and I want to thank all the guys at Rockstar, Makita Suzuki, all the guys at Bridgestone, Scott, Thor, Parts Unlimited, and we'll go on to Jacksonville that haven't been there before.
Congratulations on putting in another Ironman effort.
FM and Aaron Bates, I'm Ralph Shaheen. So long from Toronto, where James Stewart is your winner.